I would say that the lesson learned for me to anybody else out there interested in starting a business is please find something you're passionate about, because it's so much work, it's so much time, it's so much effort. But if the subject matter is something that you genuinely love to be involved with, it's not going to be that big of a drag, and it's not going to be that much work. It's going to be incredibly exciting and rewarding, because to your point, you'll feel like you're living the life that you're meant to live.
Make sure you choose, when you're trying to decide whether or not an idea is good enough to pursue, or a particular business is something you want to go forward with. Make sure that it's the type of business that when you're standing in the shower, it's the thing you want to think about for the next 10 or 20 years.
Basically, the theory is we're all born thinking like entrepreneurs. Like when we crawl and we fall, when we're trying to walk, we figure it out. Entrepreneurs always figure out, you're born thinking like an entrepreneur, that, you know what, I'm going to figure this out regardless, and I'm going to keep going. Now, often the challenge is families and friends convince you not to be an entrepreneur, because when you say, I'm going to change the world, I'm going to be the most famous person, I'm going to save the seals, they say, don't do that. It didn't happen before.
Yeah.
It's never happened. You're gonna fail. You're gonna embarrass us.
They put the limiters on it.
They put the limiters on.
Yeah.
They put the blinders on you. But true entrepreneurs will just keep figuring it out.
Can't stress this enough. Choosing your partners has got to be maybe the most important decision you'll ever make, whether personally in love or otherwise in business. You can change your idea. You can pivot your company. You can't change your partners without starting over. And so I see so many people rushing into these relationships. I mean, you should really give that a lot of thought. This is something that hopefully will last years.
Don't solicit feedback on your product, your idea, or your business just for validation purposes. Be really careful about that. You want to tell the people that can help move your idea forward, but if you're just looking to your friend, coworker, husband, wife for validation, be careful, because out of love and concern, a lot of people will express some concerns, and it can stop a lot of multi-million-dollar ideas right in their tracks in the beginning.
And you know what everybody wants to hear? What they already believe to be true. And so the last thing they want to hear is an original idea that contradicts their belief system. So it's very hard to even bring that kind of stuff up. But those are the things, those are the only things that you believe that everybody around you doesn't believe, when you're right, that create real value in the world. Everything else people already know. There's no value created. It's just business as usual. So it's so important to think for yourself.
I think my biggest tip is just get started. I meet a lot of young entrepreneurs who have good ideas or bad ideas or some ideas, and you don't want to be a person who just talks and talks and talks. You have to actually go and do something. And don't worry about if it's the perfect thing or not. There is this myth of entrepreneurship that you'll have the one genius idea and suddenly everything falls into place. It doesn't work like that. It's a hard slog. There's a lot of things to do wrong, a lot of things you'll do right. The sooner you get started, the sooner you'll get somewhere.
One of the things that I tell people when they ask me for advice about what they should do when they're wanting to start their own business or take a next step in their career is to actually start small. I think a lot of people try to, they kind of psych themselves out, or they get too overwhelmed with how big something can get. But the truth is, you really just got to start small, and you got to prove it before you scale it.
If I had to choose one thing that really motivates me that I can recommend to a lot of young entrepreneurs, it's finding and understanding why you're doing what you're doing. Having a sense of purpose. Because oftentimes I meet so many aspiring entrepreneurs and they have these great ideas, but they don't even know why they're doing it. Money should be a byproduct of what you love to do.
Try to do something that you would want to do anyway, whether it doesn't necessarily have to be a very successful business, because when you do decide to become an entrepreneur and start a business, chances are it's not going to become like a multi-million-dollar business. So at least do something that you love in the beginning, so that even if it fails, you'd still enjoy it.
Because if you build something for yourself, if you build something that you love, that you think is sufficiently epic, if you make something that you love, there's probably another billion people in the world that love it as well.
You need to focus on solutions, not ideas. All of us here are really creative, and we come up with loads of ideas throughout the day, and we become really excited about that. And it's like, dude, we should start a company around that. But that's when you actually go to the other side, where you talk to, where you find out what someone actually a problem that they have and solve that, is when real value comes out.
And I think, where is the opportunity? The opportunity always lies in the place where people complain. Some people sit there complain. You think, if I can solve that complaint, that's the opportunity.
Be great at one thing. The world will reward your knowledge of a very narrow field. Be world class at one thing. Forget your weaknesses, because somebody is going to eat your lunch at the stuff you're not good at.
So today you should think, okay, my co-founders, do we cover a lot of surface area? Do we have different skill sets? And is it somebody that I trust fundamentally? And those are really, really, really important questions to ask yourself, because if so, then you have a really strong foundation to go forward.
You have to decide if you're going to be a slow growth company or a get big fast company, because anytime you try to straddle those two lines, painful things happen to you.
Everybody thought we were crazy. We probably were crazy, but having a dream like that resonates with people, changing the world, achieving something big, it turns out that's what pulls you through the hard times. Every company has hard times. Every company has setbacks, and it's having that mountain in the distance that you're trying to scale, that is what gets everybody through.
And if you're really trying to achieve something, then sort of say, hey, here's my vision. And I like to say, be obstinate about your vision, but be really flexible about your tactics. What does that mean? It's sort of like think big, act small. What that means is, it's important to have a vision of where you're trying to go. How you get there is a series of experiments. Now, you can call them failures when they don't work, but they're learning experiments where you try things, see what works, try the next thing.